This is an application that this is a frivolous, vexatious, or it may delay or prejudice the trial coming. How can it delay the trial? That's what they were doing. But they made it look like the other side was doing that. He just stands up and says, Your Honour, we're ready, ring the bell. We'll have the trial and panel the jury. I think we've got to do a lot of strikeout motions. We might be here for a year or two. Well, really, we can short-circuit that. But we all need a little holiday break. I said to Darren, you want to go back there? He said, not really. I said, I'll go back if you go back. So we're both back. Why? For the kids. That's it. The adults, and I don't dialogue with adults too long. I just simply say, Cobber, you're thick as two short bricks, so get on board with God. Or you're going to lose the plot. Next one. Commonwealth Constitution Act Section 80. That's the right. The trial on indictment. Where do you get an indictment? Not from a DPP, but from a grand jury. Are they going to let you go to the grand jury? No. Will God open the door? Yes. Because it says, with God all things are possible. People say, but why do you put God in there? Well, if he's not in there, that door won't open. Amen. The trial and indictment of any offence against the law, against any law of the Commonwealth shall be by jury, and every such trial shall be held in the state. Hello? Welcome to Western Australia. There's your state trial. Is it your right?
Yes.
In the superior constitution. And last Thursday they said, strike out the writ, it has no cause of action. Here's your right. So was Curley talking absolute rubbish?
Yes.
Or truth?
Rubbish.
Well, you're the jury. Because that's how the jury's going to judge it too. And that's why they need a strikeout, because they won't want to give it to the jury. Is that compounding offences? Delaying or halting the prosecution?
Yes.
You're the jury. Who's guilty here? And I'm laying the blame fairly at the feet of the preachers. Because this is a spiritual issue, and they, whether it's a male or a female, haven't got a clue what they're talking about. Not a clue. They don't even know their historical history to where they are in pulpits today. And they think, they say, we're going to put our pulpits up because we're legal. Are they?
No.
No, they're not legal.
Well, you're the jury, because what I'm saying is it's not the politicians that have caused this, it's the spiritual rubbish that was given that caused the spiritual discrepancy that permitted this to happen. Yes. And who's done that? And that's why Christ, as in the Word of God, is aimed directly at the pastors. He said, woe to the pastors because you've scattered my sheep. And in this city, into 25 different paddocks. And they put like electrified fences between the paddock, which don't go next door or we'll get on your case. I might hear a bit of truth next door. You're not allowed there. Christ is going to wreck that. He's going to wreck that. Next slide. Magna Carta. Look at Magna Carta. Because when that writ gets approved in the High Court, the fee is $1,600 to file the writ. But look what Magna Carta says. No free man shall be taken or imprisoned or be diseased of his freehold or liberties. 70% of people in prison today are on remand. Has this breach of Magna Carta?
Yeah.
Or be outlawed or exiled. Now, vexatious litigation is in actual fact outlawed, or exiled, or in any wise destroyed, nor will we pass upon him nor condemn him, but by lawful judgment of his peers. To which the Supreme Court says, well, we're the law of the land, so we'll judge it. But it says we will sell to no man. Costs $1,600 to lodge a writ in the High Court. Is that breaching Magna Carta?
Yes.
We will not delay, deny or defer to any man. We're seeing a big delay here. Either justice or right. They're two different issues. So is there a breach of Magna Carta?
Yes.
Next one, mate. Here's the big one for today. Fractional reserve banking. What is this? Because Rudd said, we will guarantee all the deposits in the banks. Problem is he didn't tell the people they've got to go to the American banks to get the money to guarantee it. But who's collapsing?
The American Bank.
Get the drift? Now there's section 51, subsection 4. Borrowing money on the public credit. There's your problem. Not the legal tender, the public credit. The government is not admitting to you they've got to go back to the American banks to get that credit. So how can they guarantee the deposit?
Can't.
Well, who lied here? Because when they run out of legal tender, which is only a proportion of this issue, how are you going to guarantee the rest, Kevin Rudd? Oh, it was just a furphy to stop them running on the banks. Because just last week, the Commonwealth Bank, just on what you call an error, cleaned out the account of 250,000 clients who woke up in the morning to find they had nil. So when they went to fuel their car with the car card, it showed nil. When they went to pay the rent, it showed nil. That was just to see, can we clean the account? Well, 250,000 had the same effect that night. What am I saying? Borrowing money on the public credit. 11, 12. Currency coinage and legal tender. 13. Banking, other than state banking. Now, state banking is apparently not allowed. It's got to be Commonwealth. Also, state banking extend beyond the limits of the state concerned. The incorporation of the banks and the issue of paper money. Now, the issue of paper money is only a fraction in relation to the amount of credit. So it appears like the government prints the money, but the problem is not in that print, the problem is in the credit. Where do they get the credit from? Well, we have to go overseas to borrow it. Shouldn't you have been able to create the credit? Well, who's really running the government?
American Bank.
The banks.
Chase Manhattan.
But Rudd said, we'll guarantee all the deposits in the banks. Problem is he didn't say we have to go to them to get that. Well, if we've collapsed, how are we going to give it to you for guarantee it? I'm only a farmer, that's what I think about when I'm driving the tractor. Tractor goes round and round, so does my head. Best book written on it. Sorry, we haven't got the address, but that little bit there on the bottom says, by Archibald Roberts, retired director, Committee to Restore the Constitution Incorporated, a Colorado non-profit organisation. You can probably find it on a website by tapping in Committee to Restore the Constitution. If you can, order the book, because it's the best book on this issue. That's why it's called, essentially what it's saying is fractional reserve banking is a secret science. That's what it's saying, because people can't understand it. Now, I'm a farmer. If you go into the pantry to bring out a bag of spuds, but you don't have anything in the pantry, how come I can walk out with a bag of spuds? If you go into the bank and the bank creates $1 million, did they have it to give it to you?
No.
That's fractional reserve banking. Because it's a flick pass of the ledger entries. And that's pretty technical stuff, and that's why it's called the most secret science. And that's why the certificate for Freemasonry states, at day dot, teaching occult science. Well, hang on. If it's teaching occult science, would that mean as a Freemason you graduate as an occultist?
Yes.
Well, isn't Matt Burney a Freemason? Would that mean he's an occultist?
Yes.
You getting the drift? But didn't a church tell the people in their church to vote Matt Burney in?
Yeah.
I think that was the Church of Christ here in Kalgoorlie, from memory.
Yep.